Hey, I'm Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates. And today's question that every home buyer should ask is, what is buyer's remorse? Many of you have probably experienced buyer's remorse on some scale. My video guy, Drew, who's filming this right now and smiling and laughing silently to himself right now, he just purchased an iPhone a couple weeks before the new one comes out. So I'm just rubbing this in right now for him. But his phone broke and he had to get a new one. And sadly, this actually happened to me a couple of years back, right before the iPhone 8 came out. I dropped my phone and there was just no hope. There was no way to save it. The water got in, it was a mess, right? So I had to go buy this new phone at full price right before the new model came out. And I can tell you, I had buyer's remorse right away. But I had no choice. And I think Drew's feeling the same way right now. At this point, he still has his newest phone, but in a couple weeks, I'm gonna have the newest phone. And the idea is it happens in real estate too. It can be small things like a cell phone, but when you're buying a house, there's a lot more money on the table. There's a lot more factors involved. Most buyers are getting a loan, so you're getting yourself into a tremendous amount of debt. Let's be honest about that. And so there's a lot of fear that gets wrapped up into that. And I will say that I think a lot of it's fear. Most buyers have that feeling. I remember buying my house. I wouldn't say that I had buyer's remorse because I've been through this. I knew that I knew to anticipate it, but my wife definitely was experiencing buyer's remorse. Specifically, kind of right as we're doing the negotiating process. She was having there was a lot of anxiety, and she would tell you that right at that, we're making our offer, we're negotiating, do we want to pay this much? Do we really want to have this big of a mortgage? Questions like that. And then after getting our offer accepted, there was still that lingering, like during the inspection period, like, whew, we're gonna have our payment's gonna be big, and we're gonna have things to do on the house. There's so many factors, and there's lots of things that could cause buyer's remorse, but do know that it's a super common thing for home buyers to go through. The best way to combat that is to be logical about it. So there's a lot of emotions involved in the home buying process, and the best way I've found to combat that buyer's remorse is to really just get logical about it. Maybe write down, if you're a home buyer and you're watching this, and you're starting to go through buyer's remorse, write down the reasons that you decided to purchase this house. I always try to have that same conversation right when we start with home buyers, because I want you to really, first of all, know why you're buying a house, and what that motivation is, what that driving factor is, and then also what you're looking for. And so when you're making an offer, my hope is that you would have all those things already in the back of your mind, and that when we get to that point, there's not that overwhelming feeling of, whoa, what did I get myself into? But inevitably, you might run up against that. And so when you do, that's an opportunity to reflect back again on, okay, why am I buying a house? What am I looking for? Why did I decide to make an offer on this house? Why am I moving forward with this house? And I think that would help a lot. And honestly, I'm happy to have conversations with you about that. I've been through it myself. I've coached lots of clients through it, and I find that in the end, people are generally glad that they move forward rather than backing out when they hit that point, because there's a lot of fear, and usually fear isn't necessarily you shouldn't do this, but it is, when you haven't gone through it before, a big thing, and it's a big roadblock. And I had clients a few years back who purchased an investment property, and a few days after getting under contract, they had buyer's remorse. They thought they overpaid. They were nervous about it. And really, it's because they didn't overpay. Let's be real, they didn't overpay, but they did compete with other buyers, so they paid more than the asking price. And they had no reason in the contract to back out. So they didn't really have an opportunity to back out. They definitely would have taken it if they did. But they were trying to, even without a reason, to get out of it, and they ended up buying the house. A year or two later, their house is worth a couple $100,000 more. Now, this isn't always going to be the case for you, but in their case, they bought it at a good time. It's worth a lot more, And looking back, they're very appreciative that they bought that house. They're glad that they did. They're glad that I walked through that with them and helped them process those emotions. So just know that that's part of my job, is to essentially be a counselor in a little way, but to help you walk through those emotions. So if you are experiencing those, please give me a call. I'm happy to just listen.